Right, so this section here that you can see, which is only just holding on by a thread, this is the Disaster Datsun 260z, and this is Rocco. You may have seen our last video where we're actually meant to cut that much of the sill off, and we ended up with this. And this cover sill, which is absolutely rotten. And this was the original sill, which is also absolutely rotten, and you can see the original paint here. Well, in this video, we're going to finally get this center section welded in, and then we're going to start fabricating this outer sill. So let's grab some tools and let's crack on. Right, so the plan of attack is, I made this in the previous video, which is actually this central section here. Now, I do need to do a little bit of welding on this back section before I can weld this up. So I'll do that first, I'll get this welded in, and then I can use this old original outer sill as a template to then make the outer sill, and then I can get it tacked on. Right, so I've tacked this inner section on now. Now I'm going to move on to this outer section here. I'm going to move on to this outer section. Now I've got the template here which I can use to measure up. So I've formed this outer sill section and this fits really well. It meets the bottom here, which I'm really happy with. The only thing I do need to do is I need to tighten this bend just in this area. Now it's not too bad here, but it doesn't seem to have bent too much here. So I do need to tighten that bend up so it's kind of running downhill, this section here. But the rest of it I'm really happy with. Now, this is the original section. Now this obviously comes to a point on this section here. Now it's also got a lip here, and this is where it disappears under this over panel. So I actually need to cut this section off down here and then try and form that lip in here. And then I can use this section that I made earlier to then form this, which comes all the way to the end, and then that should finish that sort of outer inner sill section. You can actually see this piece here is actually the original. Now it's got the original paint on it again, just like this section has here. Now this, you can actually see where the overlap was, and it's exactly where I was pointing out earlier, just here. So what I've done is I've cut this panel so I can slide it over the top, and I've just made a mark on the top here, and that's going to show me where this overlap panel needs to be. Now this section that I've made, this is part of that overlap panel. So I actually need to cut that off and utilize that in the overlap, but then join this panel to the underneath of that to obviously form this inner section here. Right, so I've made this section, and this actually fits quite nicely to this little nib that I've formed. Now, I need to start looking at this section here. So this actually returns back to this inner sill. So I need to cut down here and straighten this part out so I can actually cut across here and then bend this panel back in on itself to form this sort of structural part here. Now, the whole intention with this is so you can overlay a panel on top of this. Now, for demonstration purposes, that's kind of what it should look like. Now, obviously, this isn't going to fit to this because I've actually made this fit to this amended dimple thing here. But the intention is to overlay something on top of that so it's nice and flush there, just like that top section is there.